So let's talk about what might just be the most important skill for the future. We're talking about something AI literally can't replace. But here's the kicker. Most of us get it completely wrong.
Okay, let's just dive right in with an idea that's going to challenge, well, pretty much everything you learned in English class, right? We're all taught that writing is about expressing yourself, getting your ideas out there. But what if that's the exact reason so much writing is just bad?
And this breaks it down perfectly. See, most of us, we're stuck over here in transmission mode. We're just broadcasting, shouting into the void. But the real pros, the people who are amazing at this, they live in reception mode. They're not asking, what do I want to say? No, they're obsessed with a totally different question. What is happening inside the reader's head right now? It's not about the words themselves. It's basically applied psychology.
So once you make that mental flip, it kind of feels like you're taking writing's red pill, and that's exactly what we're going to do in this first section. It's time to see how deep the rabbit hole goes when it comes to what really makes communication work.
All right, to make this super concrete, let's look at a real-world example. This is the story of a software engineer, a guy named Saul Perique. He wrote a single cold email, just one, and it was so good, so effective, it became this legend in the startup world. We're talking hundreds of interviews from this one email.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is break this thing down line by line. We're going to deconstruct this genius email. And what you'll see is that its magic has almost nothing to do with perfect grammar. Nope. It's all about engineering a very, very specific reaction in someone's brain.
All right, so here's the first line. It starts off super simple. You might read this and think, okay, it's just a bit of flattery, right? Nothing special. But trust me, there's something way more clever going on under the surface.
So think about it. The person reading this is probably drowning in generic, copy-pasted emails, right? So the second he mentions the actual company name, it's a huge signal. It screams, I did my homework. But even more important is what it does psychologically. It immediately pivots the conversation away from him and onto the founder's baby, their company. And just like that, he stands out from 99% of the noise.
And then he drops this line. And honestly, this is just a masterstroke. Now, if you read this out of context, it might sound a little, bit awkward, but for the person he's writing to, it's surgically precise.
Why is this so brilliant? Because it plugs directly into this deep-seated myth in startup culture, right? The obsessive engineer who does nothing but code. He's basically holding up a mirror and saying, you know that perfect employee you dream about hiring? The one with no life, no distractions, who just builds stuff? Hi, that's me. It's incredible. He takes what could be seen as a social weakness and flips it into his biggest professional strength.
And then he wraps it up using language that is pure insider talk. He's talking about being on super lean teams and his ability to work across the stack.
And this is so key. He's using in-group language. Yeah, words like super lean and across the stack are technically jargon, but in this context, they're like a secret handshake. It's his way of signaling, hey, I'm one of you. I'm not some outsider. I'm part of the tribe. This shows a level of cultural fit that's way more powerful than just listing a bunch of skills on a resume.
So when you put it all together, you realize what's happening. This email is so powerful because it was never really about asking for a job. It was a mirror. He was reflecting the founder's entire worldview back at them. He was implicitly saying, the thing you're building is so important, so cool, that it attracts people exactly like me. Everything you believe about your company is true.
See that email? It's way more than just an email. It's a perfect, tiny example of a much, much bigger idea. An idea that's pretty much the secret to all great communication, and that is the art of world building.
So what in the world is world building, at least in this context? Well, it's all about creating a shared reality for your audience. You can either build a totally new one from the ground up, or you can do what Saul Perique did, which is brilliantly fit yourself into the world they already inhabit. When you do that, when you create that shared context, your ideas don't just seem okay, they feel inevitable.
And this just lays it out so clearly. Think about a masterclass in world building, like the book Dune. Everything connects, right? The spice, the giant sandworms, the politics, it's all one cohesive system. The rules are deep, they're consistent, you believe it, it feels real. And then you've got something like, say, classic Superman. And look, we love Superman, but the world building can get a little shaky. Flying fast enough to catch a falling person should, have some physical consequences. And a pair of glasses is a foolproof disguise? These little inconsistencies, they can break the spell, because the rules of that world just feel a bit then.
All right, I hope you're ready because here comes the big twist. We've been talking about emails and sci-fi novels, but now we're going to connect all of this to, well, probably the most important technology on the planet right now.
So you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, this is interesting, but what on earth does a clever cold email or building fictional worlds have to do with the future of technology?
The answer? Absolutely everything. Because it turns out that this fundamental human skill of world building, it's the exact same skill you need to get good at using AI.
And let me be super clear, this isn't just some cute little analogy. This is like a technically accurate way to think about it. When you're communicating with a person, you build a world in their mind, a shared psychological space. When you're prompting an AI, you're building a universe for it. You're taking its almost infinite potential and you're constraining it. You're giving it laws of physics. You're guiding its vast probability space to get the one thing you actually want.
This changes everything about how we should think about AI prompting, right? It's not just typing a question into a box. It is the act of world building. Every time you write a prompt, you are creating a temporary, specific universe for that AI to operate in. A lazy, one-sentence prompt, that creates a bland, boring universe, and you get a bland, boring answer. But a really well-crafted, detailed prompt, that creates a rich, fascinating universe, and the AI gives you back something amazing.
And this all leads us to our final and maybe most important idea today. Thinking this way is your new AI superpower. Seriously, once you get this, it completely changes how you interact with this technology.
So let's just recap the journey we've been on. We started with this big idea that effective communication isn't about you, it's about what's happening in the other person's head. The master key to doing that is this concept of world building, creating a shared reality. And then came the big reveal that this very human, very psychological skill is identical to what you need to prompt an AI effectively. When you master this one idea, you become a better communicator with people and a way more effective collaborator with AI.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. From now on, don't think of an AI prompt as just a question. It's an act of creation. You're not just a user, you are the architect of the AI's universe. So the question really isn't, what should I ask the AI anymore? The real question is, what worlds are you going to create?